Question 1. Which of the following anatomical terms describes a position closer to the midline of the body? A. Lateral. B. Superior. C. Medial. D. Inferior. Answer: C. Medial. This question tests your knowledge of basic anatomical directional terms, which are essential for describing locations in the body. The keyword midline is the crucial clue here, as medial specifically refers to a position or structure that is closer to the imaginary line that divides the body vertically into left and right halves. For instance, your nose is medial to your ears because it is closer to the center of your face and body. Remembering that medial sounds a bit like middle can help you recall it means closer to the midline. Question 2. The sac-like structure that surrounds and protects the heart is called the A. Pleura. B. Peritoneum. C. Pericardium. D. Meninges. Answer: C. Pericardium. This question asks you to identify the specific membrane enclosing the heart. The keyword surrounds and protects the heart directs you to look for the structure specifically associated with the heart. The pericardium is a double-walled sac that contains the heart and the roots of the great vessels, providing protection and lubrication. The other options relate to membranes surrounding the lungs, pleura, abdominal organs, peritoneum, or the brain and spinal cord, meninges. Think of often meaning around, and cardium referring to the heart. Question 3. Which type of muscle tissue is responsible for voluntary movements of the body, such as walking or lifting? A. Smooth muscle. B. Cardiac muscle. C. Skeletal muscle. D. Involuntary muscle. Answer: C. Skeletal muscle. This question focuses on identifying the muscle type controlled consciously by an individual. The keyword voluntary movements is the key differentiator among muscle tissues. Skeletal muscle is attached to bones and allows for controlled, intentional movement. Smooth muscle is found in organs and blood vessels, and cardiac muscle is found only in the heart. Both are involuntary. Remembering that you use your skeleton to walk and lift things might help you associate skeletal muscle with voluntary motion. Question 4. The primary function of the nephron in the kidney is A. Bile production. B. Filtration of blood and formation of urine. C. Oxygen transport. D. Hormone secretion into the bloodstream. Answer: B. Filtration of blood and formation of urine. This question tests your understanding of the basic functional unit of the kidney. The keyword nephron identifies the specific structure whose main role you need to recall. The nephron is a microscopic structure that filters blood, removing waste products and excess water to produce urine. Bile production occurs in the liver, oxygen transport is primarily by red blood cells, and hormone secretion happens in endocrine glands. The nephron is like the tiny filtering factory within the kidney. Question 5. The exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide, between the air in the lungs and the blood occurs in the A. Bronchi. B. Trachea. C. Alveoli. D. Larynx. Answer: C. Alveoli. This question asks about the specific location within the respiratory system where gas exchange takes place. The keywords exchange of gases and between the air in the lungs and the blood pinpoint the function you're looking for. The alveoli are tiny air sacs in the lungs with very thin walls surrounded by capillaries, perfectly structured for oxygen to enter the blood and carbon dioxide to leave it. The bronchi and trachea are airways, and the larynx is the voice box. Imagine the alveoli as tiny balloons where oxygen jumps into the blood and carbon dioxide jumps out. Question 6. Which layer of the skin is the outermost layer and provides a waterproof barrier? A. Dermis. B. Hypodermis. C. Epidermis. D. Subcutaneous tissue. Answer: C. Epidermis. This question is about the layers of the integumentary system, specifically the skin. The keywords outermost layer and waterproof barrier describe the function of the most superficial layer. The epidermis is the thin, outer layer of the skin that you can see, and its cells, particularly keratinocytes, form a protective, waterproof covering. The dermis is beneath the epidermis and contains blood vessels and nerves, while the hypodermis, subcutaneous tissue, is the layer below the dermis, primarily composed of fat. Think of the AP- prefix as meaning upon or over, indicating the outermost layer. Question 7. The long bone of the upper arm is the A. Femur, B. Tibia, C. Humerus, D. Radius. Answer: C. Humerus. This question requires you to identify a specific bone in the upper limb. The keyword upper arm points directly to the location of the bone in question. The humerus is the single bone extending from the shoulder to the elbow. The femur is in the thigh, the tibia and radius are bones in the lower leg and forearm, respectively. To remember this, think of the humerus as the bone that gives your upper arm its structure. Question 8. What is the primary function of red blood cells, erythrocytes? A. Fighting infection. B. Clotting blood. C. Transporting oxygen. D. Producing antibodies. Answer: C. Transporting oxygen. This question asks about the main role of a specific type of blood cell. The term red blood cells, erythrocytes, identifies the component you need to focus on. The primary function of red blood cells is to carry oxygen from the lungs to the body's tissues using a protein called hemoglobin. White blood cells fight infection, platelets are involved in clotting, and lymphocytes, a type of white blood cell, produce antibodies. Red blood cells are like tiny oxygen delivery trucks in your bloodstream. Question 9. The structure in the brain responsible for coordinating voluntary movements and balance is the A. Cerebrum, B. Brainstem, C. Cerebellum, D. Hypothalamus. Answer: C. Cerebellum. This question tests your knowledge of the function of a specific part of the brain. The keywords coordinating voluntary movements and balance are key indicators of the structure's role. The cerebellum, located at the back of the brain below the cerebrum, is primarily involved in refining motor movements, posture, and balance. The cerebrum is responsible for higher-level functions, the brainstem controls vital functions, and the hypothalamus regulates hormones and body temperature. Think of the cerebellum as the brain's skilled conductor, fine-tuning your movements. Question 10. The process by which digested food particles are absorbed into the bloodstream is called A. Mastication, B. Peristalsis, C. Absorption, D. Defecation. Answer: C. Absorption. This question is about a specific stage of digestion. The keywords digested food particles and absorbed into the bloodstream describe the movement of nutrients from the digestive tract into the body. Absorption is the process, primarily occurring in the small intestine, where nutrients pass through the intestinal lining into the blood or lymph. Mastication is chewing, peristalsis is muscle contractions that move food, and defecation is eliminating waste. Absorption is how your body actually gets the goodness from your food. Question 11. The hormone primarily responsible for regulating blood sugar levels by allowing cells to take in glucose is A. Estrogen, B. Insulin, C. Thyroxine, D. Cortisol. Answer: B. Insulin. This question focuses on a key hormone involved in metabolic regulation. The keywords regulating blood sugar levels and allowing cells to take in glucose point directly to the function of insulin. Insulin, produced by the pancreas, acts like a key unlocking cells so glucose can enter and be used for energy or stored. Estrogen is a sex hormone, Thyroxine regulates metabolism, and cortisol is a stress hormone. Insulin is the body's primary tool for keeping blood sugar balanced after you eat. Question 12. Which of the following structures is part of the lymphatic system and plays a role in filtering blood and removing old red blood cells? A. Thymus. B. Tonsils. C. Spleen. D. Lymph nodes. Answer: C. Spleen. This question asks about a specific organ within the lymphatic system with unique functions. The keywords lymphatic system and filtering blood and removing old red blood cells are the defining characteristics. The spleen is a large lymphatic organ located in the upper left abdomen that filters blood, stores platelets, and removes old or damaged red blood cells. The thymus is involved in T-cell maturation, tonsils filter pathogens entering the throat, and lymph nodes filter lymph fluid. The spleen acts like a quality control center for your blood. Question 13. The anatomical plane that divides the body into anterior and posterior, front and back, sections is the A. Sagittal plane. B. Transverse plane. C. Frontal, coronal, plane. D. Oblique plane. Answer: C. Frontal, coronal, plane. This question tests your understanding of the standard anatomical planes used to describe body sections. The keywords divides the body into anterior and posterior, front and back, specifically describe the orientation of the frontal plane. The frontal, or coronal, plane runs vertically, separating the body into front and back portions. The sagittal plane divides the body into left and right, and the transverse plane divides it into upper and lower portions. Imagine slicing your body like a loaf of bread from side to side to get frontal sections. Question 14. The function of the fallopian tubes, uterine tubes, is to A. Produce eggs. B. Secrete hormones. C. Transport the egg from the ovary to the uterus. D. Provide nourishment to a developing fetus. Answer: C. Transport the egg from the ovary to the uterus. This question asks about the specific role of the fallopian tubes in the female reproductive system. The keyword fallopian tubes identifies the structure, and you need to know its primary function. The fallopian tubes are ducts that connect the ovaries to the uterus and are where fertilization typically occurs, transporting the egg released from the ovary towards the uterus. Ovaries produce eggs and hormones, the uterus nourishes the fetus, and hormone secretion also occurs in the ovaries. The fallopian tube is the pathway the egg travels. Question 15. The tough, fibrous, outer layer of the eye, often called the white of the eye, is the A. Cornea. B. Retina. C. Sclera. D. Iris. Answer: C. Sclera. This question asks you to identify a specific anatomical part of the eye. The keywords tough, fibrous, outer layer, and white of the eye are distinct characteristics of the sclera. The sclera is the opaque, protective outer layer of the eyeball, providing structure and attachment points for muscles. The cornea is the transparent front part, the retina is the light-sensitive inner layer, and the iris is the colored part that controls pupil size. Think of the sclera as the eye's sturdy outer shell. Question 16. The type of tissue that covers body surfaces, lines body cavities, and forms glands is A. Connective tissue. B. Muscle tissue. C. Nervous tissue. D. Epithelial tissue. Answer: D. Epithelial tissue. This question tests your knowledge of the 4 basic types of tissue in the body. The description covers body surfaces, lines body cavities, and forms glands is the defining characteristic of epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue acts as a barrier, protection, and is specialized for secretion and absorption, making up the epidermis, the lining of the digestive tract, and glands. Connective tissue supports and connects, muscle tissue allows movement, and nervous tissue transmits signals. Epithelial tissue is like the body's versatile lining and covering material. Question 17. The longest bone in the human body is the A. Tibia, B. Fibula, C. Humerus, D. Femur. Answer: D. Femur. This question asks for the identity of the largest and longest bone in the skeleton. There aren't specific keywords beyond longest bone, so you need to recall this anatomical fact. The femur, located in the thigh, is indeed the longest and strongest bone in the human body. The tibia and fibula are in the lower leg, and the humerus is in the upper arm. All are shorter than the femur. Remember that the femur supports the significant weight of your upper body when standing. Question 18. The structure that prevents food from entering the trachea, windpipe, during swallowing is the A. Uvula, B. Epiglottis, C. Soft palate, D. Pharynx. Answer: B. Epiglottis. This question focuses on a key protective mechanism in the respiratory and digestive systems. The keywords "prevents food from entering the trachea" and "during swallowing" describe the specific action of the epiglottis. The epiglottis is a flap of cartilage located at the base of the tongue that covers the opening of the larynx, and thus the trachea, when you swallow, directing food into the esophagus instead. The uvula and soft palate help close off the nasal cavity, and the pharynx is part of both systems but doesn't specifically block the trachea opening. The epiglottis acts like a trapdoor protecting your airway during meals. Question 19. The tiny filtering structures in the kidney are called A. Glomeruli, B. Ureters, C. Bladder, D. Renal pelvis. Answer: A. Glomeruli. This question asks about the specific initial filtering components within the kidney. The keywords "tiny filtering structures" in the kidney narrow down the options. The glomerulus, plural, glomeruli, is a network of capillaries within the nephron where blood is first filtered to begin the process of urine formation. Ureters are tubes that carry urine away, the bladder stores urine, and the renal pelvis collects urine before it leaves the kidney. The glomeruli are the very first step in cleaning the blood in the kidney. Question 20. The chamber of the heart that receives oxygenated blood from the lungs is the A. Right atrium, B. Left atrium, C. Right ventricle, D. Left ventricle. Answer: B. Left atrium. This question tests your understanding of blood flow through the heart's chambers. The keywords "receives oxygenated blood" and "from the lungs" are crucial clues. Oxygenated blood returns from the lungs via the pulmonary veins and enters the left atrium. The right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from the body, and the ventricles pump blood out of the heart. The left atrium is the heart's receiving station for fresh, oxygenated blood from the lungs. Question 21. The fluid-filled sac that cushions joints and reduces friction between bones and tendons is A. Ligament, B. Tendon, C. Meniscus, D. Bursa. Answer: D. Bursa. This question asks about a specific anatomical structure found near joints. The keywords "fluid-filled sac," "cushions joints," and "reduces friction" describe the function of a bursa. Bursae are small sacs lined with synovial membrane that contain synovial fluid, located in areas where friction occurs, such as between bones, tendons, and muscles. Ligaments connect bone to bone, tendons connect muscle to bone, and a meniscus is cartilage in some joints. Think of a bursa as a natural cushion or lubricant bag. Question 22. The process of breaking down large food molecules into smaller molecules that can be absorbed is called A. Ingestion, B. Digestion, C. Metabolism, D. Excretion. Answer: B. Digestion. This question is about the mechanical and chemical breakdown of food. The keywords breaking down large food molecules into smaller molecules describe the core process of digestion. Digestion involves both mechanical processes, like chewing, and chemical processes, using enzymes, to prepare food for absorption. Ingestion is taking food in, metabolism is all the chemical reactions in the body, and excretion is eliminating waste. Digestion is how your body makes food usable. Question 23. The structure that carries nerve impulses away from the neuron cell body is the A. Dendrite, B. Axon, C. Synapse, D. Myelin sheath. Answer: B. Axon. This question tests your knowledge of the basic structure of a neuron, nerve cell. The keyword carries nerve impulses away from the neuron cell body is the key characteristic of the axon. The axon is a long projection that transmits electrical or chemical signals from the neuron's cell body towards other neurons, muscles, or glands. Dendrites receive impulses, the synapse is the junction between neurons, and the myelin sheath insulates the axon but doesn't carry the impulse itself. Think of the axon as the outgoing cable of the nerve cell. Question 24. The primary function of the large intestine is A. Absorption of nutrients, B. Production of digestive enzymes, C. Absorption of water and electrolytes, D. Filtering waste from the blood. Answer: C. Absorption of water and electrolytes. This question asks about the main role of the final section of the digestive tract. While some absorption occurs, the primary function of the large intestine is indicated by the keywords absorption of water and electrolytes. It absorbs most of the remaining water and electrolytes from the indigestible food matter, forming solid waste, feces. Nutrient absorption mostly occurs in the small intestine. Digestive enzymes are produced elsewhere: stomach, pancreas, small intestine, and kidneys filter blood waste. The large intestine's main job is to reclaim water before waste is eliminated. Question 25. The muscle tissue found in the walls of internal organs like the stomach, intestines, and blood vessels is A. Skeletal muscle, B. Cardiac muscle, C. Smooth muscle, D. Voluntary muscle. Answer: C. Smooth muscle. This question asks you to identify the type of muscle tissue found in specific locations within the body. The keywords walls of internal organs and examples like stomach, intestines, and blood vessels point to smooth muscle. Smooth muscle tissue is involuntary and lines the walls of hollow organs, helping to move substances through them via peristalsis. Skeletal muscle is voluntary and attached to bones, while cardiac muscle is found only in the heart. Smooth muscle helps your organs do their automatic work.